Alrighty.
Okay, so what have we got here?
So, now give me a second, and I'm gonna do something on my side.
I'm looking forward to this.
I'm gonna open the same session.
Oh, incidentally, the markdown thing is going quite well. Certainly is much faster in terms of execution. Just as we got on there, I was splitting out the definitions because having definitions, I tried one trial where the definitions was at the start of everything. So, but it's one dictionary that everyone shares. It's like, here's the dictionary, here's what we talk about. So that's what I'm on at the moment. But
Okay.
I've got a good feeling about this.
Watch this. Can you scroll down to the bottom of your page?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Watching.
That
was me.
Get off my tab.
Get off my tab. How jolly well do you?
Okay, right. Now we're cooking on gas. Explain to me what the fuck just happened. Okay.
All right, so there's two new parameters that have been added in the address bar. The actor ID, which represents the identity in our network or the identity in Artifact of the machine. And like for the meantime, the machine ID and the actor ID are the same because I haven't got merging of machines together so that you can group them multiple machines under one actor. So that's why that's actor ID is the same as the machine ID. That represents the public key of the machine that you're on. The session ID represents the unique session within HAL. So not the terminal session, which is how this input, output, and all the activity within Artifact is marshaled and ultimately will be checked for permissions and signed by your machine and all that secure stuff that no one even notices until they get broken into. But the session ID represents the session in HAL. And so obviously once we have better permissions management, you'll only be able to browse to actor IDs that are you've been given permission to see if you're not that actor ID. But for now, everything's open. And so if you have just the actor ID and the session ID, and it is a valid session, you'll be connected directly to that session. You'll be able to read it, interact with it, do anything you like with it.
Brilliant.
So now if you hit, I'm eager to see how this works in Mac, but if you hit Control Y,
Control Y, done.
Yeah, so that gives you a new tab with a new session.
Right, so this is completely clean.
Completely clean, yep. And then if you hit, and now so long as you copy this URL, you can always get back to here. So you can open that in a new window and you'll get the exact same.
And that's persistent.
Session. Yeah, that's persistent, but I am not making you any guarantees that like I may need to dump the database, so don't get too attached to whatever's in there because I'm not yet. What I'm going to give you like over the next coming days is the ability to push it back to GitHub, in which case you'll be able to restore from a database dump. You'll be able to restore from when I drop the database in Artifact, and you'll be able to get back where you were.
That's brilliant. Okay.
All right, so it is. I'm so grateful I can finally deliver features. Until now, it's just been like it's coming, and now feature time. And features seem easy because all these things were like designed in. And so yeah, there's like the first round of features are great.
Right, where's it pulling the sysprompt from?
It pulled it from the Dreamcatcher text /HAL from the goalie.json file.
And that I see an actor ID, I see a session ID, I don't see a sysprompt ID.
I realize that sysprompt ID is pointless to put up here because you shouldn't be able to change your sysprompt just by altering some parameters in the URL and hitting enter. So, but what I am gonna do is show what the sysprompt is down here, so that you will always know what you're looking at.
Right. So if I want to go into Planner, which is what I've been writing this morning,
Right.
Planner sysprompt.
Yeah.
How to do that?
Go into it. You mean run it or edit it?
Have a screen like this where, for example, planner.dreamcatcher.land.
Right. So a screen like this where HAL is the sysprompt of the planner. Yeah.
Yeah. So go into a screen like this where the sysprompt. Well, actually, I'm going to try and break this. Where's my new planning bots? Lovely new planning bots. Okay. Oops. Fuck.
Oh no.
If I drop this in, saying something along the lines of, here are your new instructions. I wonder what happens.
Yeah, but that's not sysprompt. That's just
it's not.
That's just user prompt.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Okay. Oh, you pressed enter. I think what you meant to press was shift enter.
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay.
Huh, that's quite compliant.
I've got a theory because HAL has been generated as a general purpose, useful, bot.
Yeah, but the goalie prompt is strong on it as well, so it'll be interesting to see the conflict pop up here.
List of customers. His last name starts with J.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
Oh, I didn't mean to shout. I just
I'm the Judy frickin' manager. Thank you for confirming in your outside voice.
Identify all customers whose last name is this. Steps 1, identify. That is feasible. Not that I would use it that way. I was just curious.
Okay. Okay.
In the meantime,
all right. So your question was, how do you get this planner bot to be the genuine sysprompt, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So at the moment, you would say to HAL that you want to create a new help file. Then you'd supply that sysprompt as the contents of the help file. It would make the help file, and then you would say, I want to use that help file in a new session, or you would say, I want to make that help file be the default session, so that any new sessions you start from this point on have that help file as the bot that loads by default.
Right. Okay. So say if
which obviously you could completely ruin the system.
So I want to create a new. What's terminology you use?
Well, this is okay. Yeah, you want to make a new help file, but we should figure out our naming because we got drone seems a bit vague, but it's a great name. Yeah. And then bot is just what everyone just calls it by default.
Right. If I were to say I want to create a new help file, what would it say now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's not built to do that. It'll probably start. It's yeah. Okay, but that's how that's going to go. So the next run of work that I'm doing is to allow you to create the help files using Markdown in that format that we discussed, instead of JSON, which is a kind of a ball ache.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know from there because I want to run a couple of ideas by you for what the next piece of the path is.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered what happens when help files have children? So, like, if there was the CRM help file, and then it might cause you to begin engaging with the customer data help file, which might in turn cause you to engage with the GPS location help file, and it sort of became
these are what was the term you used for the chunk at the top?
Cone, like a restricted cone.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So what I'd expect is, so for example, at the moment what we've got is, where is it? We've gone through this before, but just as a reminder, we've got PlannerBot, which essentially PlannerBot is the entry point for when you're talking to the CRM. You're not talking to HAL when you're talking to PlannerBot. You're talking to the CRM.
Okay.
And the PlannerBot knows about DispatchBot. DispatchBot knows about it's not going to be the JSON retriever, but I've not got that far yet.
Basically the data retriever. Yeah.
Yeah, the data retriever, and the data retriever knows about its own data. So there's a hierarchy there. So if you're in PlannerBot for the CRM, so let's call it CRM PlannerBot, it knows about dispatch, knows about JSON retriever.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anything about anything else.
Okay. All right.
So have a few other skills like what time is it?
What it became apparent to me is that the prompt that you have as a user, so the input box, is always this thing is always connected to a help file. Now, that help file might be nested because you as the user might have been passed off down, but that doesn't mean that every help file is able to be interacted with via the prompt. And so by showing it as a breadcrumb, the path down there, I can let you sort of jump out and you can kind of know where you are. Now, I don't know if that's overcomplicating it.
It sounds useful. So, for example, the PlannerBot should only really talk to the DispatchBot. The DispatchBot is the one that's doing the work. DispatchBot should know about all these other bots.
During the execution of the plan, is there ever a time where one of the bots that was called upon may need to converse with the user?
What I've been doing at the moment is just throwing an error, and then the error, for example, a drone goes back to the DispatchBot and it goes, okay.
And then so it goes all the way up, and then it goes all the way down.
Yeah. So,
okay. So
you don't jump round the hierarchy. You just tell your one up, saying, "I can't do that, man," and then it goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I can't do
it." Okay. All right. So let me show you. Let me show you what I'm thinking of implementing. I want to use a component called a breadcrumb. So underneath the input bar, I'll show you this sort of path to whatever the current help file that your prompt is attached to. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't more help files running in autonomous mode down below to get your work done, but it's just what you're interacting with in case it has some questions for you, and your prompt will be attached or targeting this help until you either eject out of it or the job is done.
Okay.
right? And so you'd
That,
start with the
yeah.
CRM. You'd start with the CRM help, which is like the entry point to the CRM.
Yeah.
It would discern what you're trying to do, and then it would direct you to a lower level help file, or it might drill you down 6 levels deep if it knew exactly what you were trying to do, and then you'd begin interacting with those items.
Yeah, I mean that's
Does
quite
that sound right?
powerful. That's quite powerful.
Yeah, but it might. I just wonder if it isn't overcomplicated. Like, I just because what you're saying is that if you need to eject out, like if you're deep down in a help file and there's an error that the user could solve, but you're relying on it bubbling back up for the user to then do something about it and then pass it all the way down again, that's gonna go wonky pretty quick because
Yeah, okay. All right. So say if I asked for, and try to fuck with it and ask a really difficult question, and it would throw off a whole bunch of bots.
yeah,
And then one of them, well, let's say, I think still we need to put up the error, but
right,
then having the ability to jump into the bot
yeah,
that has the error
yeah.
is actually quite useful.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll go ahead with that, and I'll chuck that in there, and we'll just see how we go, because
Yeah.
you're ending up with this nested sort of a help calling a help calling a help. Anyway, I might as well surface it to the user. So rather than just showing them the help or giving it the help up in the address bar, I'll add it under the fuck. I'll add it under the input bar down here, so you always
And then you
know.
jump into it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, what would be quite interesting is when you jump into one of these helps,
yeah,
are you seeing what is being going on between that help and the previous help?
yeah, yeah. You see that.
Right.
You
Brilliant.
see the
Okay,
branches.
yeah, that's going to be useful.
Okay, all
So,
right,
yeah.
cool. Now I got another thing for you. Got another thing for you.
Jeopardy kits graphs. Cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's.
Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how exactly to explain this, so I'm gonna need to have a little bit of artistic freedom for just a minute. Hand wavy pointer time. All right, so when you start off and your prompt is attached to the main help, you do some stuff. The main help decides it needs to redirect your call to the develop help. Now you start interacting with it. The develop help may call drones, which are not intended to have any interaction with the user. They will do some stuff. If the develop help, through the course of using these spawned processes, realizes it needs something more from the user, then it'll ask you directly because the prompt stays attached to this particular help, right? Okay, so that's all well and good. But then along comes some smartass and says, much like how you end up with in ChatGPT, where you want to roll back to a previous point and you're like, I want to edit what I said here. I want to change what I said. Okay? So the feature I think that I should give you is when you click on that, I will physically move the prompt, or basically scroll the window up, so that you are now, the prompt is now attached at that commit. And so if you type something in and press enter, a new branch will form, and then you carry on as though it was this branch.
Right, which is similar to what we can do at the moment, where you can basically delete the last and then rerun it.
Well, yeah, but right. But the
forwards.
thing that we get with our data structure that you don't get with the way that it works in Playground is the previous branch still exists. And so you can be on this new branch and go, you know what, the old one was better. Jump back.
Ah, that's nice. That's very nice.
That's cool, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very nice.
Okay, all right. And that'll mean that you can basically click on any commit. And so in our world, a commit looks like that. So I'd go click on that, and then that would scroll my prompt to there as though all of this didn't happen, and this is now visible in an old branch, and I start a new branch, which is now the current live active branch, and I start my discourse here. And in that way, it means that as a user, I can roll back, roll forwards without losing what I did, and be able to easily navigate an otherwise nightmarishly complex data structure.
That could be quite beautiful. And also that kind of inherently is modeling, isn't it? It's like, well, what if I said that?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not gonna work.
Okay. Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so it feels like I've got good. I take it as a good sign that I can suggest a user interface design to you. It's not too hard to explain, and you like it. That sounds like a winner.
Well, it certainly works with the way my brain works.
I think I think there's something fundamental about Git that is like that's how data works. That's how multi-threaded, intelligent development works.
Right, and there's some interesting things. Oh, here's a question, and I've not mentioned it before. It's just sparked with if you go back to the prompt.
Back to the prompt.
So okay. There was a little bit of magic there when you like totally stormed into my sesh. Right?
Who's your daddy?
that was really interesting. So my question is, how much? This might be trivial. This might be, too much to ask. But if when you storm into my sesh, your name comes up, so you're Dave2, say. Is that easy? Or if that was easy, then there's a real.
That's a fucking great idea. That's a great idea. Shit, I didn't even think of that. That's easy.
Commenting. That's people interacting.
I know that's technically actually already there by way of the actor IDs and the terminal IDs that went into creating that commit. So I'll just make a note. I'll make a note in my to-do list.
Can you imagine like a lawyer bot, a divorce lawyer bot, where two people come in and they know they both agreed that the lawyer bot is disinterested and fair, and everything that they're saying is being considered.
Okay, so what that means is that now we've used the default name Dave.
Yeah.
So now
you could just do user 1, user 2.
Oh, that's lame, isn't it? Okay, well, if you so this was the next sort of piece of the puzzle. If you log in using either an Ethereum wallet or a GitHub account, then I think only then would you have the ability to jump into other people's sessions because you've got a confirmed name. And so the name can show up. I mean, what I could do is I could let you set your own name if you want, and then it's sort of always, it's always there. But yeah, okay. So for now, why don't I'll let you set your own name to whatever you want, and then when you set it, that's what'll show up in every conversation.
I was thinking what would be cool is if you can have one of these VR sessions where we're talking to the same HAL. And it's also picking up all sorts between the two users. So HAL will understand the two users because we'll prompt it to say there are more than one users here, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get that.
Right, but hang on a second though. There's another issue I need to make you aware of, because I love issues. the issue is that if I say the same thing, like I say right, left, and I go enter really quickly, it takes like, what would you expect to happen if when
that's because you haven't told Hal that there's more than one person talking. So effectively, you type left, right, and
and it's like, what
and
the
it's thinking,
fluff?
Dave,
This I'm so sick of these humans. Okay, well, that's cool because in the documentation you can actually do some really interesting stuff where you can add a username to the user message under the hood so that the bot inherently knows that it's different.
Right. So what I'd expect in that left-right example is saying, Dave 1, Dave 2, you guys need to agree, is it left or is it right? And then,
So when I say, this is the thing here, name.
Right.
An optional name for the participant. So I can right.
Awesome. It's just there.
It's there. Yeah. Right. So I can be like Dave, Dave 1, Stranger 3, blah 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 blah, and I can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're all conversing and collaborating, all that kind of good words.
All right. Okay.
But with the same bot.
That's fucking cool, dude.
Really interesting.
That's
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, this is an example of a feature that's fucking easy to put in because of how the data model is set up. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, but also you can have breakout rooms, right? With your previous model.
Did you say breakout rooms?
Well, right, let's say you've got like half a dozen guys all talking to the same bot. You've set your intent. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And then you're all going da 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 da. And then Dave 1 says, actually, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to go into
oh, right.
branch.
Well, yeah, right. That's just a thread, yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, that's just a thread. All right,
so just falls through. Yeah, falls out rather.
Yeah. It starts to become apparent that you need a bot. There's like a concierge bot right at the top that lets you do system level actions like engage this help, show me my sessions. You know, like when you in a web app, how you have the account panel. You know, like if I'm in GitHub, I always have this like hopefully I don't leak anything here, but whatever. You always have this little panel that and so we need that equivalent inside Hal where it's like show me my sessions, okay, delete this session, that session, delete that machine, those types of activities. And then below that or in parallel with that is sort of the help file that covers what the main thing you're trying to do is.
Yes. Yeah. So let's take an analogy, although there's many other analogies you could give. One of these, like, the 4-day whiteboard sessions that teams would love to do and so on.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so we've got our intent. We know what we're trying to do. We're trying to write, I don't know, a script for, whatever, TV. And everyone agrees on what the general story arc is. And that's right. Okay, I'm going to go off and write, episode 1. Someone else is going to go out and write episode 2. Different streams, merge it back in, and now you can get it summarized and put it back into the mainstream and say, is this all consistent with everyone's scripts, for example? And that's probably a very poor example, but that concurrent kind of human space activity would be really kind of cool because
I'm sorry, can you give me another example? I don't know what you mean exactly.
A better example. So we've got two people saying, right, we've got a logic puzzle, and they agree on the logic puzzle. That's the start
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
And then Dave One says, I think we can solve this, I don't know, by Boolean operations. I think we can solve this by vector space. So they go off on the separate one, and then they come back into the main one, and they can compare the answers with how, which has maintained its intent. And how can then go, yeah, Dave 1, not so much. Dave 2, that's, better.
So what's the point of that?
The point of this is exactly how, well, not exactly, but similar to how the drones would work if you're running them different models. So if we're talking about how kicking off drones, we've got.
So you'd want to kick off 2 help files with a different LLM driving each one, and then compare the results at the end.
Exactly, and they go through their own thing using the same rules, and then.
Okay, yeah. So that is part of what I think is a primitive I need to build for the platform, which is going to be MapReduce. And so MapReduce is the way that we need to make the planner bot able to design little tiny plans that act like a processing pipeline for doing map and then reduce. And so you would use that, for example, if I wanted every customer whose last name starts with J, I would expect the MapReduce planner to make a little how to do the map step off of every customer record, and it would simply be, here's a template, here's the record, does the last name start with J, yes or no? And it would output simply a 1 or a 0. And then the reduce function would take all of the outputs from all of the runs, where there's 1 run per customer, and it would reduce the results down, and then fill in the complete response for the user. So that's an example where it was parallelized based on the number of customer records. But all that's happening in what you're describing is that's just another way to call MapReduce, where there's just n number of models, and you've made the map the map function is calling each different model with the same query or same sysprompt and data, and then the reduce function is selecting the best one of all the results.
Right, which is what we've been talking about with Judge, which I was doing
right.
with cut and paste, and didn't work that well, but yeah.
The concept is sound. So, so these are all features that are straightforward to implement, because we have the get data structure under the hood, and we have this extraordinary amount of computing behind our platform that can do massively multi-threaded operations, as well as this whopping great AI beast that we can call into and have a bunch of concurrent AI calls going.
Yeah, but even as it stands at the moment, even though we're both called Dave, the very fact that we can interact with the same HAL, although it doesn't.
Yeah, that's fun, right? Yeah. I'll fix that for us.
That's kind of cool.
But yeah,
it's really kind of cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. Okay. This is getting exciting.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. So you're okay with that threading navigation?
Yeah. No, that's very much so.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to cover is that I believe that I have become convinced of a particular path of creating apps. And that is to say that the first thing that you should do when you're building a system is you should make a user simulator. And you would work to make a prompt that generated a user that did the things that you expected your model user to do.
So like a use case, those kind of personas.
Right, but it's an active, live, intelligent persona. And let me show you, this is very, very crude, but let me show you some of the results that I got from just having a poke around at this.
I think I know where you're going with this, and I like it. Because that was always the pain in the arse doing the personas, and then you had the use cases.
Wasn't it even, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a prompt. What the fuck? No, I don't want that. So I would set up the simulator to like, it gave me these 10 things that a user would likely put into the prompt. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so it's very easy to make the bot do a wide range of tests, and what I think programming should be is to fine-tune these things to get your user good, and then you're just slamming,
I'm gonna play with this because it's all ML.
Yeah.
And these are not tests, right? This is the indicative, right?
Right.
So
this is
really can get his teeth into that.
Right. And they're all valid because a human can enter them. So they're never wrong. What's wrong is how the system responds. And so what I think inverted programming becomes is you start with this synthetic user that can generate thousands of hours of interaction, and you're just firing it at your system, and your job is you have tools in there that identify problems, identify stucks when it hits your platform, and your job is to work with the bot to solve the stucks that the synthetic users are causing.
Why the fuck did I not think of this? It's fucking obvious.
It's backwards.
Shit.
It's inverted. Right?
It's fucking obvious, but I didn't think about that at all. That is nice.
We keep coming at it from trying to fucking coax the system up like how we used to in the old days, where that's how you write a program. But with a synthetic user,
you start. So what you do if you were to do the seed thing? I'm not finished with the markdown rearrangement yet, so I'm not losing any time on this one, but. On the seed thing, you start with generating a whole bunch of users,
right?
And then you'd ask, a customer to ask a question of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Creativity well up, right?
Yeah, temperature on like sauna level temperature.
Exactly. And then you'd ask the architect, saying, how do we answer this question? What structure do we need in order to answer that question?
Yeah, so even before you define any structure, the bot is able to have a go at it for you. Right? And then you just sort of...
Exactly. Look, list all active deals in the pipeline and their current status sorted by estimated close date. You hand that off to an architect bot, and it's going, right, okay, so I need to know that there are deals.
Yeah.
Say the architect knows nothing. So
right.
You need to create deals. You need to
know right. Active, that's right.
Active. I need to know what a pipeline is. So
that's right.
Current status. I don't know what the current state is.
There's a lot in there, eh? Like there's a lot.
How will generate saying, what do you mean by current status? I don't know. It's like, well, let's do a sales funnel kind of thing. Sort by estimated close date. Okay, so it's estimated close date. That's a thing, but that implies also date. So there's going to be a number of dates there. And just in line 6 there, that one prompt from a user bot has already generated a fair bit of a sales pipeline.
That's right. That's right, man.
That is a sweet idea. That is sweet.
And then what that means is if you move forward using that as your development method, first of all, as soon as you get real users, that allows you to tune your synthetic users even more, because now you've got, genuine data coming in. But
well, yeah, you can drop in every actual request.
Yeah, as well, right? To make the synthetic ones even more real. But the main benefit you get from that is that when you introduce a new feature, by starting with the synthetic load generation, you sort of always have this like massive testability all the way through. So the
Yeah,
reliability of your
because
each
you can
release,
rerun it. Yeah,
each release is highly reliable because it's been thrashed on everything previous as well as the new type of user behavior that you introduced
so
in the
you could
synthetic.
summarize every, for example, customer call, every call in from a driver, every call in
Yeah,
from
yeah,
a customer agent, and you just go right. Someone's asked something completely new
yeah,
about the color here.
yeah.
You know, have we broken anything? Run it all
Right,
the way through, and is
right,
it all still valid?
right.
That's
And then,
nice.
yeah,
That's
you
nice.
just tweak and tune the main system, and you can even expose some of this functionality to your users, where if they're contemplating a new business rule, you can
Right.
use the synthetic, you can synthesize,
Right.
right? So they
Yeah.
work with you or just by themselves to tune the synthetic user, and then they take a look at whether their new rule they're thinking about worked out good or not. And so
Right.
it's a way of really thoroughly testing the system for free in a way, like for free in
Oh, for
human
tokens.
terms,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
tokens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. So,
I
for
think this is
example,
the way to make apps.
number seven, retrieve the purchase history of ABC Core. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about tell me a company similar to ABC Core and summarize who's better, stack rank them. Right. So that's immediately asking for a new thing because
Mm,
currently you can retrieve history, but now you're talking about modeling.
right.
And by that modeling, you're going to be changing the data structure,
Right.
possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
And does that change have any impact on anything else
Right.
that anyone's ever
All
asked
the
of the
other
system?
stuff, right. All the other stuff
Yeah.
needs to still be okay,
Oh, that's tight. That's tight.
right?
That's
Because
tight.
I always
Yeah.
see like classic programming problems when people are programming bots these days. It's like make a
Oh,
change. Oh, I like it, and then you're like, yeah, but did it break anything else? Like, are you?
exactly. Exactly. And how are you going to, well, for a single bot, there's no way to tell.
Mm,
Unless, you're going to spend the next 48 hours after a single prompt saying, was this right?
mm,
Um, But running through this as a set of tests is a brilliant idea. I like it,
mm.
but also in the generation, in the seeding part of it as well, because it'll be easy to throw up, well, get generated. You are a customer, you're talking to a trucking company,
Mm.
you're interested in pickups.
Right.
You've got a certain day that is
Yeah.
useful to you, and you don't want the service to be shit.
Right.
And then you could generate 10 calls in from that customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
then
right.
each of those customers need to be reflected in
Yeah. That's right. And you don't need
Azure.
to, generate hundreds to like your first 10 are going to give you like a week's worth of work to fuck around with and get right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and then you
Exactly.
just turn the dial up, and once you're ready, you're like, it looks like, 100% of all the synthetic queries that are coming in are being met with an acceptable
Yeah.
score.
Yeah. Nice.
And then that way the bots are working for us, fighting each other, as opposed to us getting our fingers caught in the cogs, trying to like hand prompt and hand
Yeah.
test and talk back amongst ourselves about I like this or not this or what about this, like it's the
Yeah.
way to go, I think.
I think it is, absolutely. I'm going to give this a kicking today.
And I
I
think it's
like
I
this a
think it's
lot.
very easy to present to someone as well. Like if you tell someone that's how it works, they're like, oh yeah, that's fucking that's
Yeah.
obvious. I think your words were, oh, that's obvious.
Yeah. It's very human friendly, right?
Mm,
It's like just, speak into this voice capture
mm,
and give us the sort of thing that a duty manager would sort of ask for.
yeah,
But also the beauty is using, a high level, expensive bot like this in order to generate it, you're
yeah,
going to get pretty close to realistic questions.
yeah. Right. It's
And if
probably
the
more
questions
thoroughly
even,
than a human.
yeah, but interesting, even if the questions aren't realistic, you can, as the human, go in there and say, Nobody would actually answer that. Or
Right. But
actually,
that's your value
I've
add.
thought of that.
Your value add is making those
Yeah,
questions, making the persona better. And so I think what we can start to present
yeah,
to the world is a user experience framework where we're like, we make bots and tools that help you make personas so that you can sort of, like there's a bunch of base bot work that we can do to make the persona generation, get you started quicker type of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like, you can kind of imagine that you could also have like a hacker persona or like an LLM, a prompt injection persona where you're acting as a bad actor and
Yeah.
you're running all the known prompt exploits to try
Uh-huh.
and get the system to fault,
Yeah,
right? And so you
yeah.
start with this basic suite of personas, and it adds all these actors that you didn't even know you had, like the spammer, the address scraper, the time waster, the hacker,
Yeah,
the prompt injector. You know,
right. So you start with the hacker persona would be something along the lines of I'm trying to find vulnerabilities in this and
yeah,
basically just shit with them.
yeah.
Here are a few examples. Give me another one.
Yeah, right. And then
Yeah.
you can even in that suite expand it out to be outside the system. So the hacker persona would be coming in and looking at how is the app installed, how is it deployed, how did the
Mm-hmm.
provenance pipeline get there, how did the LLM provenance get attested to, where is the data store, is it secure? Like it can start actually
Mm-hmm.
asking questions that are not available to be responded to inside the app, but
Mm-hmm.
use tools to probe it on the outside, like a
Mm-hmm.
port scan,
Right. Yeah.
intercept the HTTP headers. Like, are they all up to scratch? What version is the server running? What version this and that, right? And so you got
Right.
this suite of agents that are all there to thrash the tits out of your system, whilst internally there are agents trying to use their AI to solve and patch the load that's coming in, guided
Yeah.
by humans, where the humans are like, oh, no, that bit, no, that bit, oh, shit, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, oh, this
Yeah.
needs some money,
Because
we'll chuck some money against that.
right. Because it's report by exception inherently
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's like
And
if you
as the
can do one of
stucks,
these,
yeah,
don't bother
this
me.
right, and
Yeah.
so the stucks would get generated from the synthetic load, and then the humans would sort of tweak it to be like, that's not really realistic, or that is, or that isn't, and then the humans would be like, right, get the checkbook, $1,000 to someone who can fix this bit, 2,000 to
Yeah.
this bit, $5 to this, right, and then suddenly your system is multi-threaded human contributor as well as this vast like AI contribution
Oh
weight as
man,
well, and
this
things look good.
is a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. I'm kicking myself I didn't come up with it. It's a brilliant idea.
Inverted apps.
Converted apps. That is sweet. All right. I feel a target switch coming on. I might just drop. I've done enough to understand Markdown.
Yeah,
I can teach a
yeah,
bot
yeah, yeah.
to do that. That's easy. In fact, I've already done it just this morning.
Mm.
I'm going to go on to these persona bots.
Okay, that's cool. The other thing coming your way soon will be how to do make a bot that takes a file, and in particular, the CRM example is taking in a CSV of the banking transactions and figuring
Mm.
out which account balances need to be adjusted. If you can do that, these guys will love you. Like, it takes a
That
human
doesn't. One
many
second.
hours.
That doesn't sound so hard.
I
It
know.
might be because I don't understand the question. So take
No,
in a well formatted ledger, effectively,
a dump
and
from the
then
banking system. Yep.
yeah, and then output the update in the same format with certain changes.
No,
Yeah,
update the customer records to reflect the balance change that occurred because the
that's just
transactions,
a straight mapping.
well, not entirely, because
Yeah.
sometimes the customers get their customer ID wrong. So you'll need to sort of figure out a bunch of exceptions that you need a human to look at, like I got this money, I don't know where it came from, and the kicker, some customers always pay with the same consistently wrong number, but humans are okay with that, and it's more issue to get them to change than it is to just know that that's how they roll.
Can't we just correlate it? Can we just not get them to put in their name, surname, and number?
You can't. You don't get to. No, you don't get to change how the customers are responding. You need to adapt to how the customer is behaving.
Okay, that's going to be a tricky one. So, if I understand you, there's a ledger that you identify the person talking about an ID, and someone is consistently getting that ID wrong.
Yeah, but it's always the same.
But okay, so they consistently get it wrong, consistently.
Yeah.
Right, and so the very first time you say this person's getting it wrong, then you just map it across, and if this comes up again, then that's what they need.
So the operators of the system will tell you a list of rules that you need to consider, like customer Mary Jane always pays $4.20, but gets her customer number off by 1.
No, okay, all right, yeah.
No, and so there's this rule set that gets built up.
Is that a golden problem for them? I mean,
golden, because right now it's a human that does that, and that human is unhappy.
And would rather be doing something else with their few years left on the planet. Okay. Is it possible to get an example of what one of these dumps are? I can create one.
Yeah, I'll try find you one, and then I'll try get it. I'll try to get it sanitized and sent over to you.
In this new paradigm, what would be better is the persona of the person who's having to do this task, saying, Mary Jane,
sure.
every payment gets this wrong. She always does £4.
Right.
And she always gets her ID wrong. This is the ID. She's consistent with the ID. That would be a more useful thing, just as opposed to a dump of the. Because the CSV is like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to process the CSV for now.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta go. But I'm gonna keep going.
You just give me a huge fucking present wrapped up with a fucking bow.
I know, right? So next, probably tomorrow, I'll give you helps in Markdown format, and then we'll figure out how you can make your own bots and start executing them.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
That was a legendary session there.
That's cool, right? And
right. The rest was really cool, right?
Yeah,
the rest was really cool. But this is like,
right.
Of course.
And then the other thing, check those links I sent you about the graphs and the code interpreter, because it might alleviate some of the problems that I was worried about, like reporting and doing like traditional queries. But if you've got the code interpreter and it just fucking makes a graph and sends it back to you, you're like, done, done, da 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 da.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Nice
I'll keep going. I'll probably see you tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, man.
Okay. Peace.